So I'm in Walmart right now and I'm just looking at doing some shopping for my son, even though he's not in my care. Just to get him some things so he can wear while we're in visit, because they only bring him with a white onesie on like he's in jail or prison or somewhere. But I'm looking at like the newborn stuff and I'm like, I never even got a chance. My baby never even got a chance to wear any of his stuff that I got him as a newborn baby. And I'm just looking at all the newborn stuff, you know. And I was over there looking at these little things over here. And I can remember how small my baby was, you know, when I first brought him back from the hospital. And I'm just thinking, like, how can people rob somebody of their own children, you know? Newborn baby was never harmed, was never exposed to anything, you know, and they're now keeping him away from me because of my attitude. And my attitude is me advocating to get my son back, is me advocating against his abuse and his neglect of seeing his mother, who truly loves him. And they're literally abusing me through the system, through the courts. And I'm just doing my hardest to keep my head above water. By the grace of God, it's been working. And just the other day, just yesterday, I told God, I don't know how long I'm going to last. I don't know how long I'm going to last, because I feel like I've had enough. And I'm like, God, I need you to intervene like now, because I don't want to fall. I don't want to premeditate things to get my baby back, and it gets me out of honor with God. I don't want to do that. So I know he's going to come. I know he's going to come and help and save this situation and give me my baby back, because this is just wrong, you know. I'm looking at how they got the shoes out now. When he was younger, when he was a couple months, they didn't have these nice shoes for the babies at all. So I'm just looking at them now and I'm like, I can't believe I don't have the baby in my custody. You know, when I first started going through this process, I was like spiritually dead. You know, I died immediately when they put me in handcuffs, because they said they didn't want to fight me. And I wasn't fighting them. I was just going back into my house to be with my son. And they put me in handcuffs and restrained me outside on my property. And they went inside my house and went into my bedroom where my baby was sleeping and took him and came outside and had him in their arms and was like, do you want to kiss him before he leaves? And I asked them if I can breastfeed him one last time, because I was nursing him. And they told me no. They didn't allow me to breastfeed him. And I'm like, he's due for a bottle. He's hungry right now. They didn't allow me to feed my baby one last time before they took him. So that was a very traumatizing experience for me as a new mother, and as a mother who in the beginning was a victim. But I don't claim to be a victim. I'm definitely not the perpetrator. I just am resilient. I don't dwell on anything. I need to be strong and I need to grow. So you can't grow if you're staying on the same problem. You have to figure out a solution, which the father and I did before he was taken away. He said he will move out and I can stay in the house with the baby. And they still came and lied and said that we never had a plan and that I refused the safety plan and that I was just being defiant. And it was completely nonsense. They didn't understand the fact that I was going through postpartum. I was still healing from after giving birth. I was still bleeding from after giving birth. I was still emotional because the father of the child never gave me a break. He never gave me a break with the baby. So I've been going through just, I was overexhausted. I never had a break to even sleep, and the father is just like, well, I have work in the morning, you do something with the baby, and it's just like, I literally didn't get help from him. And that's what caused us to have commotion. It just was a lot of stress. And I was planning on leaving him, and we had came to a realization that it was the best for us to not be together. And we said when the baby gets 3 months, we will depart ways. I will go back to Philadelphia with the baby. His whole thing was he didn't want to pay child support, and I said I don't care about child support. I'm not gonna put you on child support through the state, but you will take care of your baby financially. If I'm in a whole nother state or if we're not together, you're still going to be in his life, and he still needs to be able to see you from time to time. So that was already established. But now that we're going through this system, his whole thing is let me give the social workers everything they ask for, just so I can be in their favor, so they don't make me pay for anything. Like he's just a cheapskate, and his whole thing is he don't want to be liable to pay for anything. And my thing is, why are you uncovering the family? You're supposed to be the man of the family. I was protecting him a lot, because and even though I made the reports were real, there were 3 incidents where I had to call the cops and report because he was being abusive, and not all physical, but 2 times. And then 1 time it was like more of an emotional thing, but he's a very emotional, abusive person, and he's a narcissist. And I got it. I completely understood it because I didn't know how narcissistic I was and prideful I was, so that's why I was able to forgive him, because I'm like, I'm not an angel, so I stayed with him, living under the same roof, because of the cost of living here in California. But it was never anything detrimental. It was never anything super violent to a point where they had to take my baby away. I just wanted him to pay for his violations of his physical abuse to me at that time, because I just got finished giving birth to your baby, and you had the audacity to choke me and throw. And once I fell to the floor, he put his foot in my neck and on my face, like his work boots that he worked in outside. He was stepping on my face, trying to get to his wallet. And I'm just like, okay, are you really going to do this right now? And Jesus. And he did. And that's when I called the cops. But I learned my lesson. I know not to ever call the cops. I will, if there's a situation where my baby is involved, No, I'm going to call a family member before I call anybody, and I'll make sure to always be living around people who support me. And at this point, we lived all the way in the country, and the landlord, they were older people. He did work for them, so they were always on his side. They didn't believe anything that I said, so it was always like friction. And he, come to find out, he used to talk about me to the landlord, and it just was like, this man, how can a woman trust somebody who trusts a man who talks badly about her? You're not protecting her at all. And here I was looking and thinking about God and the family and keeping our family together and safe. And he wasn't even worried about family. And I should have known that from the beginning, because he's had 3 wives. Didn't tell me until I was deep into the thing. And he has about 6 children with different women, and he hasn't raised any of them. And he even has a 13-year-old. He's a 63 now year old man. He's from Guatemala, but I should have just, I know it. I knew the red flags, but then I was thinking I'm pregnant, and I was thinking unconditional love. Love covers a multitude of sins. So I'm thinking like, he deceived me in the beginning, but let me just see. And I stayed in it, and eventually my soul started hurting, and God was just calling me to get out of it, and I had to pray for a way to get out of it. And God opened up 2 days after I prayed that prayer. God opened up a door, and the door was him. We going through this, and they taking my son from me, and this was my way, God's way of getting me away from this man, making this man not like me anymore, and me not liking this man anymore. So God is awesome. His ways are mysterious, but I trust him 100%. Jesus is real. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But if you are in like a narcissistic relationship and you have children, or you're a first-time mom, please run. Don't be stupid. Don't be a dummy. If you're being controlled, even in the slightest way, he doesn't even love himself. Especially if he's not even with his own children, or raising his own children, or building a relationship with his own children. He doesn't even love himself. And the Bible says if a man doesn't love his wife, he doesn't love himself. So just have to look for those little signs. And if you guys want to know more, just ask, because I'm forthcoming with information. I've always been that way, and that's actually something that I have to learn too. Like, sometimes I need to shut up, okay? So sometimes you might need to shut up. God bless.